Hello, Bedrock Nation. This is Joe DeChara back again with day 5 of the 5-day business building challenge. And let me start off by saying that just because it's day 5, it is not over, because I'm enjoying this so much, and I just keep adding and adding more and more content to the web page that I've created. And it's getting so big that I'm probably going to have to, start segmenting it into different categories. And the truth is, I have to be honest with you that this exercise has helped me in my own business tremendously because I had to organize all of my content over the past 12 years. And what I found, people, was that I had content that I had forgotten about. I've been writing and journaling and just following my own plan for the past 12 years. And there were times where I would write an article or just, write down my thoughts and put it into a blog post and forgot about it. And going through all that, the pieces started to fill in. Things that I thought were irrelevant or a one-time use, they became valuable content that became another part of another system that I had in my business. A couple of weeks ago, I got to interview a good friend of mine, Susie Cruden, who has a publishing company called Itty Bitty Book Publishing. And I interviewed her because the process of writing, I'm on my second itty bitty book, which Susie is still in the editing process. So if she's Susie, if you're here, I'm still waiting. But the point is that writing a book forces you to organize your thoughts. And that's really what this is all about, people. A profitable, efficient business is a set of organized procedures that were constructed by the entrepreneur and people that help him, because no entrepreneur can do this on their own, to create sort of like an assembly line of a business. And the 3 segments that I have introduced to you, the marketing, administration, and production, they are all intertwined. And by the end of today, by the end of this session, I'm going to bring it all together and show you how everything is really related. From what you produce, the services you provide, to how you sell it, to how you keep track of it. And things like your marketing cost, think about this, can only be measured through the administration segment. What it costs you to produce what you're producing can only be accounted for in the accounting system. There's no way around this. It's 1 + 1 = 2, any way you slice it. Now, in the end, what you wind up with is your business model. I never hear anybody talking about a business model. And I'll give you an example. I had a large construction client that the way they got business was with their personal relationships with the general contractors. There was no advertising. There was no social media. It was one-on-one. Go up there, cement your relationship, find out if there's any new projects coming on. And that was the only way to do it. You didn't make connections through LinkedIn. Now, when I ran my ice cream truck, the last semester of college, marketing was different. I had a bell and a big truck with a sign on it. And then what I instituted was some, buy one, get one free snow cones on Wednesday, because I realized Wednesdays were a slow day. But the point is that whatever business you're in, and you could have 15 real estate brokers, and they could all have their own different business model. And I thought I shut my phone off, but now it's official. So in the end, my objective in taking anybody through this system, because it is a system and it's going to be turned into a course and a 30-day and a 90-day program, so that I can go deep dive into all of these areas. See, this is like a Cliff Notes version of the whole system. And every successful entrepreneur has a system. Now, my system is designed to take new business owners through the process. That's part of my business model. In other words, my course, this training, becomes part of my assets, part of my product, part of my marketing system. So it's all intertwined. So what I'd like to do now for a couple of minutes is just review what we've done for the first 4 days. And again, I apologize. I'm not going to even try to do the Facebook Live thing again. Sorry, Jenny Wright. But every time I've done it, it just, for some reason, I don't know what it is. But I will fix that in upcoming Facebook Lives. So if you are watching live, give me a hashtag live. And if it's a replay, give me a hashtag replay. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the chat box. I will answer and respond to every post. And if I haven't mentioned it, I mentioned it in the last email. These for attendees only. And if you haven't registered and you're listening to this, you can still register. I put the link in the chat box, and that's the last time that link is going to be in there. I'm going to leave it open so that if you still want to get this content, and there's a lot of it, you'll have access to it through this private web page that I've only shared with people that are registered. And now what I'm going to tell you, and I didn't plan on this, but this web page is filled with so much content that I'm just going to keep adding to it. I'm going to keep adding videos and other content, and really whatever you tell me that you want to learn about. If I'm not covering something and you ask me about it, I'll cover it. And if I don't know about it, I'll find somebody that does, and we'll create a video on it. That's one of the great things about this time, people. We can do unbelievable things with technology. And now I'm sort of like technology, sort of like a hobby for me. I love it. So I know enough to get into things, but in the end, I usually need somebody that like Jenny Wright or Haley to tweak it so that I can get it working right. But you have all the tools in the world at your fingertips for practically free. And that makes it so easy to start a business today. So easy that it becomes a problem for some people. And that's what this course is all about. So just to review quickly, what we've done is I went through what I call the blueprints. So you can't build anything unless First of all, you have to have a picture of it in your brain, and then most people put it down on paper. So you have a physical representation of that idea that you had. And that's the first manifestation of anything. It goes from our brain onto a piece of paper and then into a physical reality. I had a chat with somebody in this group yesterday, Jonathan Pleska, and that's another thing. We can reach anywhere in an instant. And if you're not taking advantage of that for your business, then that's on you. So I reached out to Jonathan, and what Jonathan does is pretty interesting. He's a graphic designer, and Jonathan, if I'm mangling this, I apologize. But what he does is he'll take his client's idea and visualize it and make it into a vector graphic. That's the blueprint. And what he does then is he takes that graphic and makes it into a physical object. And it's really cool. If you have a chance, check out Jonathan's stuff. I actually have one of his publications in the group, in the files. So, and that's just a microcosm of what a business is. It's all the same thing. That's what makes it a science. You can do this scientifically. You don't have to shoot from the hip. So we went through the blueprints, and I'm not going to explain what they are again because they're there. And we went through the steps about determining where you are in the business process. Okay, I went through my friend Mike Wolf's three categories, which was another eye-opening thing. And then I just went through some more of the questions that make up what I call the blueprints. I provided examples of Benjamin Franklin's blueprints, Napoleon Hill's, and I also gave you my own personal set of blueprints. And that doesn't only come with my 13 principles, I've included my whole time management system in there. And at the end of today, that's a comprehensive 90-day system that I incorporated. And at the end of today's lesson, you're gonna have my 30-day time management planner. Now you could take it and use it the way it is, or you could copy it and make your own planner. But I obviously didn't shut off the phone. So I have technology issues. But back to what we're covering here. Once you have the blueprints, now you can start building your foundation. And your foundation is based on the numbers, your cost, your compliance. You have to be, when you start a business, when you build any structure, it's got to be on a foundation. Now, most small businesses don't have a foundation. Literally, there is no foundation. There's nothing to stand on. And when something happens, like I mentioned in the marketing segment, what if your marketing works? What if you got 100 new clients all at once? Is that a good thing or a bad? I mean, you would think that's a great thing. But that thing almost destroyed my business one time. And I told that story in one of the sessions. So day 3, we get into my system, what I call the MAP business system for success. And that is based on the core 3 segments of every business. It boils down to that, people. It's as simple as that. There's 3 basic fundamental areas of every business. And the M is for marketing, the A is for administration, and the P is for production. And on Wednesday, I went through the marketing segment. Now, I don't know anything about marketing, not nothing. I mean, I know something about it, but I'm not an expert. But I do know that there's fundamental pieces of every marketing system. Every marketing system has a structure. There's a procedure. If you want to do it right, see, I've been shooting from the hips when it comes to marketing, basically my whole career. I always got clients, but that had more to do with me, my personality, and when I meet people, I can put them at ease and they become clients. And then a lot of my clients come from referrals. So I never really had a systematized marketing system until I recognized the pieces. Yeah, I had the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, the LinkedIn profile, a Twitter account. I had videos, I had a radio show, I had all kinds of marketing material, but they were never put in order. So that's what I cover in the marketing. I gave you some tools like a sales funnel, the picture of that. I gave you my friend John Limbacher's perfect sales sequence, which shows you basically what the big advertising companies do, their formula. Now, it's comprehensive. You can do a long-term project marketing program where you can condense it down to a single landing page with an attention getter, a call to action, 3 questions. These are all little pieces that they didn't teach me in college. Now, yesterday, we had I had a technical glitch. I could not get Facebook Live to talk to Zoom, or Zoom to talk to, they wouldn't connect. So I had to record the session. Well, the good news is when I recorded it, I figured out a better way to do it. Trial and error, trial and error. Every time I do something and I fail, I say, well, I shouldn't do that again. And I find a solution. That's what business is. We find solutions. So what happened was the end result, when I watched the video, it was so much better than just looking at me, because what I did was I shared the screen and I went through it. So if you didn't notice by now, all the other days it was just a big screen of me. Now there's no problem with looking at me. I'm a pretty good looking guy. And now I'm smiling a lot more because some people told me I should smile more. But the fact is that it's not about me. I want you to get this content. So in the future, when I do Facebook Lives, it's going to be more educational, more in your face graphics, and I'll be able to physically show you stuff like I'm going to show you right now. This was the sales funnel, and this is where it was supposed to start the first day. And I expected people to watch, listen to me and have the website open and follow it. That wasn't a good sequence. So now we have a better sequence. It's going to be more valuable. And when this recording will go up on the website and you can view it over and over again. And if I didn't mention it already, this page is going to be continuously updated. I've learned a lot in the last week, believe it or not, about how to do a Facebook Live and saving the video and then uploading it to YouTube and then turning it into a blog. This is something that Haley Gray really just pointed out to me. And these are little nuggets, people. I'm throwing a lot at you, and I realize that. But let me show you this because I think it's pretty cool. The sales funnel, this is something that was introduced to me by my friend Craig Doswald about 7 or 8 years ago, and it looked interesting. I could never take this image and put it into practical use until I started working with my friend John Limbacher, and he showed me the perfect sales sequence. And then it hit me. See, because as smart as I am, people, and I'm pretty damn smart, if I don't say so myself, I can't see things clearly all the time. None of us can. I could see very clearly. My superpower is to look at a business, see all the components, and put them in order. But some of these marketing concepts, I got to be constantly bombarded and exposed to them. I've been exposed to the sales funnel concept for 7 years, being in Craig's mastermind group. And like I said, one day it just clicked. So I had this picture, and then I realized, because John's whole ACT program, the number one thing is you got to get their attention. That's a core component of every marketing campaign. If you don't get their attention, you're done. It's common sense. How do you get their attention? Well, one way is you do a 5-day free business challenge. You provide value, and now, like it or not, people, you are in my sales funnel, and that's by design. I don't want everybody in my sales funnel. That's not efficient. I want qualified people that see what I offer and come in. Now, you don't ever have to buy anything. And that's another beauty of this. John Limbacher taught me that marketing done correctly makes sales superfluous. I don't sell anything. I never pitch anybody. When people come to me, I offer information. And if they connect with me, I let them know what I offer, and then we come to a decision if we're going to do business together. So now I get people into my funnel, I attract them, and the next thing, people, is I'm going to offer you something for as little as $1. Yeah, that's right. Just give me $1, and if you don't like it, I'll give you your $1 back. Now, what that does is it opens the door. And I'm going off on a tangent again because I already covered this. But now what I'm showing you is I actually have the graphic, which I didn't have the last time. And we're going to continue to upgrade and add content here. So yesterday, the video, not the live because that didn't happen, was about administration. Ugh. Just bringing it up makes me tired. Nobody wants to talk about administration. Nobody wants to do bookkeeping. And if you do, then you should be a bookkeeper or an accountant. But there's no way around it. And I went through the basic financial statements. I went through what bookkeeping is, why it's necessary, what accounting is, and the bottom line is, it's on this thing right here. The bottom line is you need to know your numbers. You don't have to be a bookkeeper or an accountant to know your numbers, but you need to know what a balance sheet is and a profit and loss statement, and how they relate to each other, and how every transaction makes those statements different. They change with every single transaction. Now, when you're armed with this kind of information, you get to plan your business better. The basic chart of accounts. Now, I also threw in one of my most important pieces of collateral, I think, and I call it new business mastery. And it's important because I cover all of the common roadblocks, the potholes, the government roadblocks, and obstacles that small business run into. And armed with this and my new business startup checklist, which I had in the beginning, those two books, ebooks alone, is enough to equip any new business owner, at least with the information that they need to know about things like sales tax, payroll registration, hiring a subcontractor. These are things that people don't ask until they go into business. My clients don't, I mean, I educate my clients, but nobody's come up to me and say, hey, if I want to hire somebody, should I make them an employee or an independent contractor? No, I usually get from new clients that I haven't trained, oh, I hired somebody last year and I got to give them a 1099. Well, that's no way to run a business. That's reaction. That's reacting to the situation. My clients, like I said yesterday, my clients' corporate tax returns were all finished by the third week in January, and all the 1099s and W-2s were done in the first week in January, unless there was a client that said, oh, I forgot to tell you about this person. So that was my special bonus, and now we come to day 5, which is the P. Okay, production. And I don't have a lot to say about this because what you produce is unique to you and your business. And I don't care if you're producing tax returns, ice cream, or you're doing long haul trucking. The way you deliver your product and produce it can be different. I'll give you an example, and it's right here. I wrote it out yesterday based on my experience, and this may or may not shock you, but out of the 5 CPA firms that made up the bulk of my experience, my first 10 years in accounting, I jumped ship a lot because I'm an entrepreneur. So I went from one job to another. And all of them were good. I learned something from all of them. And the shocking thing was that except for 1 out of 5, none of them had a system. Now, you're talking about accounting firms. These are people that business owners go to for business advice. And in my experience, accountants are some of the worst freaking business owners that I have ever met in my life. Honestly, it is scary. So on the production side, if I'm doing a tax return, my final product is handing the client the tax return. But what happens before that? I'll give you an example. And I was talking to my friend Debbie Morgan, the CPA. We're associates. We actually like each other. And I think she likes me anyway, but we were talking about how I can do all this in the middle of tax season. And the truth is, because I developed a process to deliver my product as efficiently, with high quality oversight as possible. Now, how did I do that? What's the problem with all the other firms, the 4 out of 5 that didn't have a system? Well, if we had 500 business clients, we had 500 different bookkeeping systems that were all developed by the client. Whatever they had, these firms accepted and worked with. Not only that, a lot of times they would wait until February or March when the annual business clients came in, the guys that were too small to be bothered with during the year, And we would get the 12 months worth of information during the busiest time of the year. This is insane, people. I worked the last CPA firm that I worked at, and I became a manager basically at all of them, except for the first one because I was brand new. And that first one was the only one that had the system. The last CPA firm I worked for did their billing on one QuickBooks file. They had a different system to do their accounting work. Why was that? They didn't even know. That's just the way they did it. Highly, highly inefficient. They wanted to know what it was costing them in time to do all the work. So they had me create another QuickBooks system for time logging. So now we had 3 different QuickBooks files, which all could have been done on one file. So, and this is part of the problem out there, people. I'm sorry to say there are a lot of bad accounting firms out there. And the 2 of them were not small. 2 of them, we had big clients and a lot of them. So be careful with who you talk to out there, okay? And one of the ways that you can tell if an accountant is good is just look at their office and see how organized they are. See how long does it take them to pick up the phone. My clients call me now, and that's, my phone went off a couple of times, but they text me, they email, they get an immediate response. And that's because I designed my production the right way, efficiently. Now, production, let me go through a couple of things. What I added here to the three segments was a little definition of what these things are. So production is the process of combining. I don't have to read it, but it's a process that it creates a system. So if you don't have a system, and I don't care if you're selling insurance or ice cream, like I said, it doesn't matter. You have to have a process. Now, what do you produce? You know, a lot of people don't even know what they produce. And I'm going to use myself as an example. For years, before I hooked up with Craig Duswald and I started learning about marketing, I was selling bookkeeping and accounting services. And nobody, what I found out is nobody wants to buy that. They're only getting that, they're only thinking about getting that if they have to. And most of the time, they're going to an accountant at the end of the year because they have to file the tax return. Now, I could market myself as the greatest tax preparer in the world, and I'm not. There's plenty of accountants that out there that know more than me. And yeah, to be honest with you, in accounting, no accountant knows everything. It can't be anymore. I specialize in new business startups. And lost my train of thought there. Oh, okay. So I thought I was selling bookkeeping and accounting, and it turns out that people were coming to me. Number one, most of them from referrals had a problem. So that's how I got the bulk of my new business. Or I personally met people and they got to know, like, and trust me. I wasn't selling what I was really producing. What I was really producing was that intangible. See, people, when they have to deal with the IRS, there's a lot of fear going on. So my marketing now is designed really on educating people about how to deal with the IRS. And once you get into my sales funnel, because you're interested in not dealing with the IRS, to having some protection. And now I'm providing the information for free. That's what I'm selling. It's the fear. Part of it is the fear factor, unfortunately. You don't have to be afraid anymore. And the other thing that I realized that I've always been trying to do is this. I organize businesses. A tax return is only done once a year, people. That's not interesting. I'm an entrepreneur. I want to make money and I want to be interested. And being a paper pusher doesn't interest me. Some people that's fine. And I respect that and I honor that. But for me, I need to keep my brain cells flowing. And this is how I do it, by helping people take their ideas, by taking their mangled businesses and organizing it. So you got to know exactly what you produce. How do you produce it? I just went into the example of the accounting firms. And I'm going to give you a shocking fact right after this that you're not going to, maybe you understand it or realize it subliminally, but I'm going to show you what the major cost of doing business is, and you are going to be shocked, I think. Last thing on the product, and this ties into marketing, is how do you produce it? How do you deliver it? See, this was another thing. Most accounting firms just hand the client the tax return. There's another step involved. Are you going to see them next year, or do you want to guide them on the next step in their business? Because there's always another step. There's always another step. And if you don't think so, you need to make another step. And that goes with your sales funnel. That little picture, that simple picture is where. Now you got to start thinking about, where do your products align with your sales funnel? Do you have a product that's going to hit the top, that attractor factor? Do you have a low cost, low entry fee product to give your prospect a taste of what you do? That's what people want. They're not going to spend $1,000 with you on the first meeting. Very rarely. I've been told that those kind of hits are by luck. Somebody hits the lottery every day, and a blind squirrel can find nuts. So if you start thinking in terms of alignment and organization, then everything comes into alignment and in sync. And I hope this makes sense. So how you deliver it is vitally important. I have a good friend that bought a very expensive house, and after he bought it, he got a handmade, beautiful thing of the house. I mean, it was amazing. This cost a lot of money, but what the agent was doing was setting them up for the next sale. Nobody does that. So if my friend, and he sold his house again, who do you think he went to sell it? And if he knew anybody that wanted to buy or sell a house, who do you think he was sending them to? So this is a constant, it's a business cycle. It's a business model, people. And I know most accountants, probably hardly any accountants, talk about this kind of stuff. But this is what my superpower is. And I didn't just get it. I was born with this. I've been organizing stuff my whole life. And that's what led me to be an accountant. And like I said, if you know my story, for 25 years, I resented my father for tricking me into becoming an accountant because I didn't see the point in it. I was a paper pusher until I learned these concepts and everything became clear. It was all aligned for me. I was just looking at a small piece of the puzzle, but there's a big piece. And every business, and I'm going to keep saying this, every business has a lot, not a lot, an inordinate, unmanageable amount of stuff that one person can't possibly handle. And that's part of the mastermind principle. That's in the blueprints. So now let me take you to the shocking fact of the biggest expense that every business owner has, especially solopreneurs, sole proprietors, is time. And time does not show directly on your P&L or your financial statements. It doesn't show up as a number, but it's there. Because if you're not efficient with your time, it's going to affect your revenue, it's going to affect your expenses, and it's going to affect your bottom line. And it's going to affect you here and in your heart, because if the people that cannot master time are limited. So if you're like me, an entrepreneur that I just have to keep expanding and learning and growing, and that's never going to end. Being confined by time was one of the biggest obstacles that I had to figure out. Because again, they didn't teach me in business school. They don't have time on the CPA exam. And what happens, people, is when you go into business, if you're serious and you're doing this full-time, and even if you're doing it part-time, you have to understand that time management is key. It is essential. Now, Mike Wolf, in his three categories of entrepreneurship, you start out in the chaos stage, you're bombarded with everything, and most people don't get past that. They go out of business, never to return. But if you're a real entrepreneur, you're going to figure it out. You're going to get beyond the chaos stage, and you're going to get into what Mike calls the micromanager stage. Now, these are the people that know every little detail about what's going on in their business. And that's fine. But guess what? You're limited. You're limited to the amount of time that you could spend tending to every little detail. Dr. Stephen Covey, in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, called this being in the thick of thin things. And until you can master the time issue, you will never break through. And that's fine if that's what you want. But if you think about it, folks, we all have a finite amount of time on this planet, in these bodies, if you believe that we don't die. Okay? We have a finite amount of time, whether you're in business or not. Now, my friend Jade Molina, I have a lot of friends that teach me. He has a plan, and I forget what it is, but it's not only time management, it's life management. And he has his 4 pillars of success. And what he does is, and this is what I do, he taught me, is the 4 pillars are, I hope I can remember these, is family, fitness, faith, and finances. I did a good job, Jade. So, and his approach is to every day make sure that he's paying attention. And what that did for me was every day I had to cross off the F for family, and it made me, not made me, it allowed me, gave me the permission to text my aunt or just say, send a text to my daughter saying, I love you. And that put things in order for me. So if you don't see the common thread here, people, about business, it's about putting things in order. And you must put your time in order. Okay. And now what I've done is, like I said, up on the first day, I gave you my complete 90-day framework. This is what I live by. This is the blueprints that I put together over time that I do on a daily basis, unless I get off track, to be honest with you, because I'm not perfect. We strive for perfection, but we never reach it. Now here, I gave you my short-term 30-day business planner. And what this does, it's comprehensive. I designed it based on what I do, my business, because there's hundreds, probably thousands of different business planning systems out there. And I've tried many of them. And none of them fit exactly with what I needed. There's a lot of good ones out there. They just didn't work completely for me. And now this system, because it's not static, my system keeps developing. The more I learn, the more technology changes, I keep tweaking my systems. So once you get a system, don't ever, sit back and say, oh, this is great. You got to keep looking at it, keep trying to tweak it. Because today, people, things change every day. Once you learn Facebook, they come out with a new version. That just happened to me. So you got to keep on your business. You got to do your business intentionally. And that's really the best words of wisdom I could ever tell anybody about their business. I had my head in the sand for about 25 years, honestly, because I was going by what I learned in school, what I learned from the other accountants that I worked with, my experience, what worked, what didn't work. And I reached a point where I had to look at what my results were, and I wasn't happy with them. So if you're not happy with the current results, you got to go back and say, what was the sequence of events that I initiated, not somebody else, because I initiated that result. I put myself in my office, isolated, making plenty of money, but just feeling like it wasn't enough. And that's when I read The Science of Getting Rich. And it put everything in a new perspective. And it made me think of my business from a different standpoint, and to look at things like, what is the result I want? Instead of starting at the beginning, I had to start at the end and then work backwards. And it's never going to end. It's never going to end. And I thank God for that because that keeps it interesting. So I've given you, there's more to come over here. I have the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, Dr. Stephen Covey's 4 quadrants, which was another eye-opening tool for me. And I'm gonna upload that shortly. And I also have what they call a SWOT analysis. Now, this is something that I've heard about for years, but I always thought it had to do with large companies. And then when I looked at it, I'm going to open it up here. And you could just, no, that's the wrong one, sorry. Okay, so I got to fix that. But I do have a graphic for the SWOT analysis, and it's very simple. It's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and I forget the T, but it's not good. It's, what are the problems that are you going to face? And that's it, people. That is the end of my 5-day challenge, but it's not over. Like I said, I am going to be emailing anybody that's registered. And I want to thank you for your participation. If you want to reach out to me, like I said, free chat, timewithjoe.com. I got plenty more to offer. I have my Bedrock University that's up and running, and I'm adding to that. And that's it. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. Joe DiChiara, Bedrock Business Builders, and bedrockuniversity.com. I'm looking forward to chatting, and if not, collaborating in the group. And thank you. Have a good weekend. Over and out.